Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Covert, and you are listening to episode 28 of In Her Voice. I am an inner voice coach, and I am so excited that you press play today, that you are here to listen to us talk about what it means to connect with and live by your inner voice. I have a wonderful guest on today. Her name is Cassandra Bodzak, and I found Cassandra on Instagram and totally fell in love with her. I was so excited when she agreed to be on the podcast. And today we're talking about intention, and we also dig a lot into the hows and whys of meditation, which I just love. She has such a wonderful way of simplifying it for us. Cassandra Bodzak is the best-selling author of Eat with Intention, Recipes and Meditations for a Life That Lights You Up, and she is also the founder of the online mind, body, soul support community, Apressity.com. Cassandra is a global meditation and wellness teacher who instructs people on how to utilize the technologies of food, meditation, and self-care to create their next level life. She has been dubbed a spiritual leader by Well and Good and is the mindful cooking show host of Eat with Intention TV. Or you may know her as the happy, healthy living guru from ABC's The Taste. Cassandra speaks all over the country, works with a select group of clients one-on-one, and enjoys spending her free time on the beach in Santa Monica, enjoying life. And I know you are going to enjoy this interview. And as you're listening to it, if you find yourself nodding your head or saying, yeah, this is what I needed to know about meditation, or this makes so much sense to me about living with intention, I ask you to pay it forward and share this episode with your girlfriends, with your sisters, with your mothers, with your neighbors, because this is a message that we all need to hear. And the more you share it, the more people we will reach. I am so grateful that you would do that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with Cassandra Bodzak. Welcome, Cassandra Bodzak, to In Her Voice. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
Fantastic. So your book came out last year, Eating with Intention, and I thought that we could start there with a focus on intention. So why don't you take a second to begin with to just share with us, what is intention? What does it mean?
To me, intention is really the direction that you're kind of pointing your ship at any given time. And so I think when you really think of anything you do in your life, the reason why you're doing it and like the intention behind it is, when I visualize it, is kind of like the direction you're pointing your ship in. So it's like you can do the same actions, but you could be pointing yourself in different ways depending on what your intention is behind that action. And I think our intentions, when our intentions are aligned with our soul, we end up creating a life that really lights us up, that makes us happy, that makes us feel warm and fuzzy and fulfilled and nourished. And when our intentions are aligned with our personality, or our ego is probably a way people would understand that more, then oftentimes our actions don't really fill us up or kind of leave us feeling empty.
I love that, the idea of it's the direction that your ship is pointing in. So can you give us an example of an action that we could be taking, the same action that will yield different results if our intentions are different?
Absolutely. Okay, so an easy one that I talk about around food that's like pretty self-explanatory is, let's say, eating a kale salad. you can eat a kale salad from the intention of loving your body and wanting to nourish your body and being in a space of, I want to fuel my body with high vibe foods that are alkalizing it and helping it like be strong and vital and energetic, because I just am in total awe of how amazing this beautiful vessel I have is. And you can also eat a kale salad from a place of being like, I need to lose 5 pounds so I can fit in my bikini for vacation next week. And that intention, I would say, is, more from a place of wanting to change something about you or lose weight or whatever it is. So it's like the energy behind why you're eating it is totally going to affect how you digest that kale salad, how that kale salad feels, and ultimately probably if it, how it works with your body. Another easy example of that is even like going on a date or going on a job interview, but we'll use the date example, but they're very similar, where it's like you can go on a date and have your intention simply be to, get to know someone and have a fun evening, and if that's your intention, chances are you'll get to know someone and have a fun evening. Or you could go on a date with the intention of being like, I need to figure out if this guy is my husband, right? And that's going to be a very different date.
Yeah, for
right?
everyone.
And for everyone, and probably not a fun one, honestly, right?
Yeah, that's a really good example. I totally believe what you're saying, but I was just going to play devil's advocate for a second, because I think that there would be some really smart women who would say, but that's just words. We're just using different words to describe the same thing. How does that really work?
I would say it can be words, and if you're really going on a date if your energy and where you are, and I think a big part of this whole journey of listening to your inner voice and listening to your whole wisdom is about not BSing yourself. It's about being really honest with yourself. And I would venture to say that absolutely, if your energy and your true intention is, let's say in the dating situation, you're like, I really just need to find a husband. If that's your energy, and you can be like, oh, I'm just going to say before I go on my date that my intention is to have fun and just get to know this guy. You're absolutely right. It's just words and it won't work, and it will still, because you can't fake it.
Right.
So I would say it absolutely, it can be just words if you're not embodying it, and your intention has to be something that you're fully stepping into energetically and is the way that you are moving in any given situation.
So how do we get really clear on the intention, and how do we embody that? Are there steps that we take, or is it practice? What does that look like?
I think in general, it begins with living a more mindful life. So having a meditation practice, having mindfulness practices in your life that cause you to take those breaths in between things, that cause you to actually consciously think about the energy you're entering a situation with, whether that energy is what you're eating for breakfast or pitching like the biggest project of your life. Really being able to I call it the miracle moment a lot when I am coaching or doing workshops, where it's like when you are living a conscious life and you're meditating, but you're also just being aware of yourself during the day, then it's like, okay, before you do anything, you decide the energy you want to step into it. So I would say it first starts with you having to slow yourself down and be able to be the observer more in your life so that you can really see the beats, because so many of us go through life on an autopilot of sorts, especially nowadays with social media and everything. It's so easy to constantly be distracted or constantly be occupied and to not actually think about things. So you really have to reconnect with yourself first and foremost to go about setting intentions. And then one of the things I had some of my people do in my spiritual community, I have this online spiritual community, and one of the workshops we did was a whole intention reboot. And we really went through the different areas of their life. And I think this is a super fun exercise for anybody that's feeling excited and wants to take this on, is to really look at all the different aspects of your life. Look at let's say the food you're eating, how you're moving your body, your self-care, your career, your money, your relationships, romantically, family, friends, your fun, all the different aspects of your life, and really go through and like, okay, what is my genuine intention in this area? And kind of looking at, okay, what is the intention right now that I'm in? Because some of us definitely have default intentions. And what is the intention that I actually consciously want to bring into this area? Because that's going to shift the entire way you operate in that area. I think the dating one and the relationship one is like it's such a good one, because so many women especially fall into this kind of intention of like just really wanting these like outcomes that they want. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to get married or wanting to have kids and all that stuff, of course. But there's a totally different energy in your love life when your intention is connection and fun and enjoyment that makes all those things come so much faster. And same thing with your business, right? If the kind of person that's in a business to genuinely serve people, the intention behind their business is to help elevate people and serve, and, whatever their particular vocabulary for doing that is, versus the person that's in business because they want to make sure they pay their bills.
Right.
It's a very different energy in the way you go about the things and the way people feel you.
Yeah. And I would just extend that even further for those of you who are listening who have kids. You can have that same reframe with intention, with how you want to be with your kids, with the interaction you have with your kids. Just for me today, just this morning, I was headed to the gym and my 14-year-old called me. He was all upset because something went wrong with his computer, and it was, of course, my fault. I don't know how that happened, but it always is. And so after the gym, I came home and I was sitting in the driveway for a moment, and I really had the opportunity to think about, who do I want to be when I walk in the door? And this idea of like literally walking through a door, that's a moment that I get to choose who I'm going to be. And what do I need to let go of? What do I need to hold on to in order to create for my son an experience that's going to help him and be me and not lose it? And so it was just a minute in the driveway before I got out of the car, and I walked in and I asked him how things were. He had it all figured out and it was fine. And I really believe that helped me just sort of gather myself and be who I really wanted to be, not be that knee-jerk reactor that sometimes comes up without me expecting it.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's so important in every aspect of our life. It's really like, yeah, you get to decide how you respond to that thing.
And it makes us feel in control, because I think so many women fight for control. Like they always feel out of control. They feel like their lives aren't being decided by them. And so this is a way to bring that control in a good way back around, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So I would love to know for you personally, and you're young. I imagine if you're 30, I would be surprised based on your videos and things like that.
I am 30.
See, nailed it. For someone who is young like you, I think to have this wisdom is unusual. But I'm really passionate about getting this word out and helping women to understand you don't have to wait until you have kids. You don't have to wait until something goes horribly wrong to figure out that this is how we need to live our lives. And so I'm really curious how intention for you shifted your life. How did you come to understand the power of intention in your own life?
Well, I think how everything kind of shifted, and my first big intention was really just to be happy. That was my first game-changing intention where I at a certain point in my life kind of hit a rock bottom of sorts. And my little brother was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And at the time, I was just in a weird place. I was in like a turning point part of my life where I got out of a long relationship that I thought might have been like the one, but it wasn't going there. And I had to kind of get out of an unhealthy situation. And I found out at the same time about my little brother, and, you know, my career wasn't super fulfilling at the time. And so it's kind of like this whole mess of things were happening. And I really had a tough time especially processing everything that was going on with my brother. That's kind of when I totally surrendered. I got down on my knees and I was like, okay, God, show me what to do here, because I don't know how to function with this in like the back of my head every day. I don't know how to like go on and live life knowing that, you know, this is going on. And that's when I found my meditation practice and my spiritual practice. And the whole intention behind finding my meditation practice, finding, you know, like going on that journey, was quite literally to be like, you know, to be able to function in life, to be able to be helpful during the process of everything that was going on with my brother. And I knew inherently that if I could bring myself to some level of happiness, or I don't even know, I mean, happiness even seems like a stretch at that point, but it was kind of like this level of being able to function so I could like contribute and be of service during this time. And that was my intention of just like doing everything in my life to make that happen. And so I meditated like it was my job. That's when I was first introduced to Wayne Dyer, who has a beautiful book on intention. And I love that book so much. And it really made me realize that it's called The Power of Intention, I think. And it made me realize that, yeah, I couldn't necessarily control the waters that I was sailing in, if we're going to use the boat metaphor, but I could control how I sailed my ship. And so during that point in my life, my main intention was really just to find joy and seek things that made me feel hopeful. And that kind of pivoted everything in my life, honestly. Once I started leaning towards that, I really started finding things that were nourishing my soul from a really deep level and not just kind of a surface level of what I thought I should do. I started leaning more towards my blog. I started doing my early cooking videos. That's kind of when this whole other aspect of my life took off, because my whole intention shifted around life. And I think in general, if your intention is to find joy, that will always point your ship in the right direction. And yeah, so I started off on a pretty general level. And then it wasn't until, you know, I really mastered that. And I don't know if you ever fully like master it, but, you know, mastered it on a certain level that I started kind of making, you know, getting a little bit more specific and saying, okay, well, what's my intention around this? Like I started realizing, I think even getting more keen to the intentions that were working in my life. And it was like game changer. It literally saved my life. I don't know how I would have made it through that period of my life. I don't know how I would have been, you know, a functional human being through so many years of like being in and out of hospitals with my brother, had I not kind of made that one shift in intention and really decided that, you know, I wasn't going to be the victim in the situation, and I was going to find the joy and I was going to figure it out.
So what do you think it was that drew you to meditation in particular during this time?
It was God, the universe, my inner, whatever you want to call it, your inner voice, whatever you relate to. For me, it was that night, literally the night when I like found out everything out, like hit my knees, cried all night, was in like the bathtub wailing and talking to God and being like, I need help. Next morning I woke up and I just heard meditate, and I started searching YouTube. I did every YouTube meditation video I could find. I went to a Buddhist monastery in Brooklyn to take Buddhist meditation classes. I started reading all different kinds of books on different forms of meditation. I went to a Kundalini. I made it my mission. I heard it and I listened to it because I was asking for guidance, and I was really receptive and really ready for it. So it came in loud and clear, and I just honored it.
I love that, because I think so often we get these hits of wisdom, and those are the moments where we have two paths in front of us and we really get to choose.
Absolutely.
Are we going to choose to listen to our inner voice, or are we just going to go the way we think we should be going, or what everyone expects us to do? And so I thank you for sharing that. And what do you think it is about meditation that's so transformative? Why does it work?
Oh, so many reasons. Why does it work? Because we've spent so much of our time creating this noise in our being, in our lives, in our head, that we don't actually open up this container for listening most of the time. Meditation opens up this container where you can actually listen. It gives you that, what I call the miracle moment. It allows you to slow things down. It reconnects you. I literally, when I meditate, I really feel like it's like I'm plugging into a power source that's much greater than me. And I go into this place inside of me that's of me, but not of me at the same time. And I think it's something that's just so necessary, and even more necessary we're going to find as things advance with all the technology and stuff going on right now. There's so much thought pollution, let's say, and meditation gives you this moment to kind of hit the pause button and to refill your battery and to reconnect with your own guidance system. And I kind of describe it like if you have, let's say you're in your car and you have your phone plugged in and you have Google Maps going to try to get you to the grocery store or wherever you're going. And at the same time, you're blasting the radio, and at the same time you have 3 friends in the back talking loudly, then good luck trying to hear what your Google Maps is saying. And what meditation does is it shuts off the radio and it shuts off your friends and it amplifies the Google Maps.
Right. And it's that direction that we need. Taking it back to intention is where the intention can grow, and we get clarity on that, knowing which direction we want to go. If you were going to help someone get started in meditation, just easy steps, because I think for some people it's hard. It's hard to sit still. It's hard to be quiet because we're so not used to that. It takes us so much out of our comfort zone. So what would you say to people who want to get started? Just easy steps.
Well, first I would say, spoiler alert, it's hard for everyone. So I hate to make anyone not special, but you're not special. It's hard for everyone. That's just because we have monkey minds. And I would say, first of all, stop trying to make it perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I've been meditating for forever at this, not forever, but for a significant amount of time. And I've logged quite many hours. And there are some meditations that are transformative and epic. And I feel like I go into this beautiful universal abyss or whatnot. And there are other meditations where the entire time it's just you're thinking about your grocery list. And you're thinking about all the things that you have to do later that day. And that's fine. If you read a lot of the benefits, first of all, there's a lot of different types of meditation. So I always encourage that, I really believe different strokes for different folks in almost in every area of life. So approach it from a fun, let's try all the different flavors energy. And I encourage people to go through a period where promise yourself that you're going to show up. Consistency is key. Consistency is overall the most important thing. Even if you sit in a chair or on your couch or wherever you're sitting and you close your eyes for 10 minutes every day, and most of those 10 minutes you spend thinking about other things that you have to do and reminding yourself to pay attention to your breath and trying to remind yourself to chill out. But you're lifting weights right now. You're doing push-ups. So they're not always going to be easy. And sometimes you might not feel like quote unquote, did a great meditation. But it actually was a really good meditation, because even those times when you do have those meditations that are filled with what I like to call little like stress thoughts, the way I think of it is like, think about like, when you like open like a sparkling water or something like that, and all like the bubbles kind of come to the top and then start like evaporating at the top. That's kind of what you're doing with your mind. So sometimes what happens is you have a lot of bubbles in there because you have all this stuff that's like going on inside of you that you now kind of giving it this, like, now you're like opening the cap and all of a sudden all the bubbles are coming out. And that's cool. You need that sometimes. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. If you practice traditional Vedic or transcendental meditation, they recommend that you meditate twice a day, which I find to be extraordinarily effective, because one of those 2 sessions is usually an effervescing session, and the second session is usually like when you're able to like kind of sink into a little bit more of a juicier, chill state. But going back to just starting out, if you do Vedic or transcendental, they have a very specific way to do it. It's 20 minutes. You have a mantra. You do it twice a day. But I really encourage in the beginning to just go towards what you're drawn to. Like, here's a great exercise for actually listening to your intuition here. Try all the different flavors, because the most important thing to me is that you find a practice that feels like a nice warm blanket on your soul to you. So don't try to, if you don't get excited at the idea of doing a mantra for 20 minutes, then that's cool. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's just not for you right now. And maybe eventually you'll be interested in that. If you like doing, like, I have some guided meditations on YouTube that are just great guided meditations to start your day. One's a visualization. Another one is just like a let go, like a releasing meditation. There's one for self-love. If you have, whether it's me or it's someone else that you like that has guided meditations, sometimes that's a great way to start, because you can just pay attention to the person's voice and allow them to guide you through the meditation, which will help you kind of focus in. But there's so many different mindfulness, compassion meditations. And I really encourage people to, make a commitment to yourself to show up for it every day, but allow yourself in the beginning that flexibility to try all the different things. And then once you find something that you're like, I find this particularly intriguing, or this one really speaks to me, then commit to doing it for a full month, and really doing only that one for a full month and really stepping into it. And just like anything, like I said, I really compare it to push-ups, right? It's like the first time you do push-ups, you're not going to do a ton. You're going to probably barely do like good form on them. And that's fine. But if you just show up every day, that's what really matters. And what I like to remind people of is that actually a lot of the studies that you read of all the benefits of meditation, they're usually done on transcendental meditation practitioners. But a lot of the studies you read, the most beneficial parts about meditation is usually just sitting in quiet and closing your eyes.
Interesting.
Yes. And this is what a lot of meditation teachers don't necessarily want to tell you. But I actually think it's a great stat to know, because it lets you know, like, whatever else happens is like added bonus. Like the 80% is you taking time out of your day to sit in quiet and close your eyes. That's 80%. If you do just that, it doesn't matter what goes on in your head during those 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is, the extra 20 is pretty exceptional if you get there. But even if you don't, that first 80, that's, when you start seeing, your immunity improve. That's when you start seeing yourself sleeping better, when you can listen to your intuition clearer, when you're feeling all the great benefits that you know about meditation is really from just committing to making that time every day to close your eyes and get quiet.
Those are all such good tips. Thank you so much. And I'd never heard that piece about having the second meditation. in the day and that makes sense. Like that one of them would just sort of be clearing. And then the second one is where you can really get deep. So I'm going to put that into practice myself. And I think the other piece that I heard you saying was almost this idea that we need to release our expectations around what meditation should look like, what it should feel like, what we should feel like after. That doesn't really matter. It's just the doing part.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so encouraging. I know for me, I'm a recovering perfectionist, as many of the women who listen to this podcast are. And for me, meditation was a struggle when I first started it because of that very reason. Every single time I did, I was like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. And when I let go of that and just was like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing the best I can, and we'll see what direction it takes me. It was easier. It felt so much better just to be with it.
Right? It's so important. I think it's so, I've worked with a lot of my clients have similar things where their perfectionism stalls them in so many ways. So they feel like they're not doing it right, And it's like, you can't do it wrong.
Right.
You can't do it wrong. It's the only way you can do it wrong is not showing up for it at all.
Mm-hmm. So on a real day, I mean, all days are real days, but, sort of like a real life day, what does your meditation practice look and feel like for you?
I love-hate this question. Because my meditation practice, my disclaimer around this is that my meditation practice is in no way what I feel like everybody's meditation practice should be like, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in a particular position where this is what I do for a living. I mean, I guide people's meditations. I hold the space for people's spiritual development. I'm constantly creating content around helping people become empowered, listening to their intuition. So this is a really big thing for me. So I meditate a lot. And I do a mantra meditation, which is a Vedic meditation. I also do a Kundalini meditation, and I will do a visualization. And on some days, to be honest, I will, I'll do even another one if I feel like it. So my meditation practice, it always changes, I will say. I, for a while, was doing like a 2.5-hour sadhana, which is a Kundalini practice every morning of different meditations and kriyas and chanting and stuff like that. I've also gone through periods where I just do a visualization, or periods where I just was doing the Vedic. I allow it to move in seasons with me and to decide, the way I put together my meditation practice is kind of the same way you would put together a smoothie, right? Where I think, okay, what are the different elements that I need to best support myself right now and to hold the space for whatever it is I'm creating or want to do in my life? So just kind of like if you're putting together a smoothie, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to put some maca in there to balance my hormones, and I'm going to put some spirulina in there to detox from heavy metals. And I'm going to put all this stuff together because of the combination of things I need right now. So that's what I do for myself. I've definitely done that for some of my clients too, depending on like where they're at in the game, kind of put together these more like prescriptive meditation routines. So yeah, so that's what my meditation practice looks like for me. And I always do give that disclaimer because that is a real day in my life, but this is my life. So in no way, if you're like a mom with kids that's like also has a job and like doing all these other crazy things, like, does that mean that you need to do like 2 hours of meditation? Please no, don't feel that way.
And 2 things that brought up for me is, number 1, what you are doing daily is connecting inward, listening to what your inner voice is asking you for, listening to what it says you need on that day. And so that flexibility is so beautiful in your practice. And I think that that's something that, regardless if you're meditating for 5 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, that's something that we can all really learn from and practice daily, because that's the important part. Are we giving ourselves what we need? And then the other piece, and this thought came up earlier when we were talking about intention, because you said you set the intention to be happy, and that led you to meditation, and that led you to essentially what your life is now. Mm. And so when you set the intention to be happy, that is how you found what your purpose, what your passion in life is. And I feel so often we go about it opposite. We say, I want to know what my passion is. I need to find my life's true purpose. And we're looking for that. And all of that time, we're not happy. We're not feeling good. We're not taking care of ourselves in the way that we need to take care of ourselves, when if we flipped it, we may find that more easily. Don't you think? Right.
And it's like, that's so important with everything. Because, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, if you go back to that example of like going on the date with the intention of fun versus the intention of like, is this guy going to be my husband? Well, if you keep on going on every date with the intention of fun, if that guy's meant to be your husband, he definitely will be.
Right.
You know, if that's your intention, and it'll probably expedite the process.
Right.
But like, most of us go towards intentions that are a little bit more outcome oriented sometimes, right? Or we're like, no, my intention is to marry him, or it's to, you know, like you were saying, like find my purpose, or, you know, be this. When you kind of leave it a little bit more open-ended like that, it really connects you back into your guidance system, because when you bring that intention of saying, okay, I want to be happier, I want to have fun, right? Any of those kind of like intentions that are, you know, playful and joyful and just pushing you in the direction of what feels good, will ultimately guide you, right? That's kind of that is how part of how your intuition and your inner guidance system works, is by kind of old school being like, okay, we're going to make things feel good that we want you to go towards and make things feel bad that we don't want you to go towards, in a like super simplistic way of saying it. Right.
Right.
So if you follow, you know, whether it's with like dating or with the job, you know, if you keep on just leaning towards what feels good and what makes you feel lit up inside and happy, then you'll be led towards the right people. You'll be led towards the people you're meant to be friends with, the people maybe you're meant to marry or whatnot. The people that, even, let's say, I don't know, I just thought of this randomly, like if you have kids and you're like looking for like the perfect preschool, right? If your intention is just to find a place that feels good, you'll be led towards a great preschool for your kids, right? And you kind of throw out this crazy list of things you have, but you're like, what feels good, right? Because when you step into that place that feels good, that place is going to be safe. It is going to have great teachers. It is going to, it's going to have all those things, right? But you can just follow what feels good, which kind of goes back to connecting to your inner voice and that guidance system inside of you and trusting it.
Yeah. And what I love about that idea is when we set an intention to feel good or to be happy or to create joy, we can do all of those things right now.
Yes.
Right? If we set the intention, for example, to get married, you can't do that right now. I can't get married right this second.
Yep.
Or I can't lose 10 pounds right this second.
Yes.
But what I can do right this second is choose something that's going to make me happy. Choose something that's going to make me feel good. Choose something that is loving. And that is the power, I believe, of intention, and absolutely what I hear you saying.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's very Danielle LaPorte and the Dyer map.
Totally.
It's similar to that. It's like, okay, sorry, motorcycle outside my window.
That's right.
If you think of the outcome, if you're because it can be hard for some people if you're trained to go for outcomes and, have those things but I want to lose the 10 pounds, right? And it's okay, well, how are you going to, how is losing the 10 pounds going to make you feel? How is getting that job or that promotion going to make you feel? How is finding that person going to make you feel? And then just have your intention set on the feeling. And then the outcome will come if your intention set on the feeling.
Yeah. It's such a good turnaround, and it makes it so much easier.
Absolutely. Because you're right. Then you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I can feel, radiant and energized in my body today. I don't have to necessarily wait until I lose 10 pounds. But if I steer my ship in the direction of feeling energized and radiant about my body, what's going to happen? I'm probably not going to want to put junk in it. I'm probably going to want to move it. And all of those things will push me in that direction of ultimately, getting to a place where I feel like fit and healthy in my body. But I don't have to wait. I can feel energized and radiant in my body today, which just makes life so much more fun too.
Yeah, it feels good. This is also good, Cassandra. And I really want to give all of my listeners an opportunity to connect with you. And why don't you let us know where they can find you, watch your videos, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. So my most active platform is definitely Instagram. And my handle is just my name. I'm also on Facebook, and I do little Facebook lives where we do little jam sessions talking about different things like this. So you can find me on Facebook, same thing, just my name. Same thing with YouTube. On YouTube, it's Cassandra Bodzak TV. And I'll give you guys a link to, I have this 7-day mind, body, soul reboot. And in it kind of gives you, it's great for anyone who really wants to start a practice. It gives you kind of a starter practice you can try on for size, and has some really great soul searching questions. So it kind of gives you this framework. It also has a meal plan too, which you can use or not use, doesn't really matter, to kind of just give you a container to kind of get going with it and try it out and see how it feels.
Wonderful. So I will put links to all of those things on the show notes page, which you guys can find at kellycovert.com. Just hit the podcast tab and it will be there. And so definitely head on over. And I know that I found Cassandra on Instagram, and I really enjoy what you're putting there, your quotes and your captions. They're really powerful. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Oh, thanks so much.
And I just want to take a moment to honor, acknowledge you for your ability to bring these ideas to us, this idea of intention, this understanding of the practice of meditation in such a simple way. You speak in a way that just helps me to understand it better and inspires me to try these new things. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I am sure we'll be talking soon, but thank you for today, Cassandra.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Isn't she just wonderful? She just has a way of describing things that just really helps me to understand them better. And I loved her meditation tips. So simple. I'll recap for you. Let go of perfection, go towards what you are drawn to, and just show up. So good. We don't have to make it hard. It's hard enough as it is. We don't have to make it harder by trying to have it look a certain way or feel a certain way or feel like we're doing it wrong. Just show up. I love this. And also the idea of that when we're living by intention, that using our intention to focus on how we want to feel instead of things that we want to accomplish or certain outcomes, that is really good stuff. So I really want you to sit with that and soak it in and really think about how you can apply that in your life starting right now. One of the things that I love about In Her Voice and the guests that I bring on is that they offer you so much practical wisdom. This is not just airy fairy pie in the sky things. These are things that you can start doing today and they will change your life. And if you are really finding value in listening to In Her Voice, if you're taking these things away and applying them and seeing it make a difference in your life, I would ask you to please consider becoming a patron of the show. So this is so cool. You can go to my Patreon page at kellycovert.com/together, and you can donate monthly starting at just $1 and going up. And any amount that you donate helps me to cover the costs of producing Inner Voice. And it also helps me to broaden my reach and get the message of worthiness and listening to your inner voice out to even more women. And that is what In Her Voice is all about. That is why it's here. So thank you for supporting me. Thank you for believing in Her Voice and this important message that we're bringing to women all over the world. And thank you for being a worthy crusader. If you want to donate, if you want to become a patron of In Her Voice, the website is kellycovert.com/together. And there should be a link right in the show notes of the podcast, the app that you are using to listen to the show. So you can just go right there and click on over and listen to your heart and donate at that level. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being you. And this is why. Because we need you. We need your light. We need your love. We need your gifts. We need all of your amazing self here in this world. Remember, you are worthy.